This is Steve Wilsack with Innovative News. We're currently following a huge story that's starting to develop here in Kings County, Nova Scotia. It's on large-scale wind turbines. There has been a recent meeting held in the Gaspereau Valley along with the Planning Advisory Committee in Kentville, Nova Scotia. We will show you some of the footage that's starting to develop and the hot topic about, as you can see, it has to do with setbacks, it has to do with large-scale operations of these wind turbines and the possibility of some health effects of this as well. So there's lots to take in, lots to absorb. Nova Scotia is all in favor of renewable energy. At the same time, there are considerable issues that are being put forth by the general public. This is Steve Wilsack, Innovative News for Innovative Times.
No real way to voice their opposition to such an invasion. However, these people have ended up living near turbines. The outcome is often the same. Some people get sick, really, really sick. In extreme cases, they get so sick from the effects of the turbines that they can no longer continue living in their homes, so they simply abandon. Carolyn and their 6 children lived in Pubnico. The Pubnico Point wind farm was built near the d'Entremont home, and the family found themselves living near 17 1.8 megawatt turbines. Each was 400 feet high to the blade tip. The turbines were placed anywhere from 1,000 to 4,700 feet from their home. I have some pictures of that site. Passed away was 4,700 feet.
300 feet.
Right. So I just wanted to point that out, that 4,700 feet, which was the turbine the farthest away from their property, is 1,400 meters. And the current legal setback here is 700. I just want you to think about that.
Environmental assessment. We don't have good recourse with COMFIT that's clear to us, that we understand, and that there's evidence in it. Our problem is we need to see that evidence. I guess I'd like to bypass my right to talk about property values, which I mean is, go online. It's very clear that the property values go down 20 to 30%, sometimes 50. But I would like for Ramona to speak just a bit and confirm to us that
the project is not going forward, and that mechanism sits with COMFIT. And that, as Crystal has informed us here today, that if a community shows that they're not in support, to please let COMFIT know in the form of a petition, which is in writing, which Betty has been undertaking. So we have mechanisms in place through COMFIT to make sure that we do have renewable energy. We want it, but we need to make sure it's done appropriately. And the application form, I feel, has safeguards in place that the wind turbines are put in the appropriate places where communities want them. And then also we have our municipality that have their bylaws. So it has to go through 2 processes. We are going to make sure that wind turbines are put in places where communities want them.
So if we were to submit to the province 200 or a 300 name petition, either Ramona or the gal from COMFIT, which I forget your name. Crystal, sorry about that. What would happen? What would be the process? If you want to come up and walk me through it, because we need to know the process and we need to be a part of it. We just can't, it doesn't sound like you have vast staff, so, sorry, Danny.
We do have the authority to not approve or revoke an approval. Potentially, right, in terms of our process, I'm more than happy, I really am, to stay and discuss all of these issues with you guys. In fairness to our organizers, would we be able to get through their agenda and then we can talk about it?
Well, yeah. The only thing
Why
is,
do we not err on the safest side of things?
It's nothing against renewable energy.
the valley is only 10 kilometers.
That's all very
North to South Mountain is only 10 kilometers, or slightly
It's
more.
exactly 700 meters
we
to
don't
my
want it.
house. Right to my house.
It has to be 10.
So, like you're saying, what could they do? There's no piece of land that they could put it on that could actually get it. Like my house is the nearest house to the whole community, and there's nowhere is that they could stick that tower, that I would be within a kilometer.
I think the concern from the original meeting too, when the question was posed as to why here, like why did you guys choose for it to be here? The answer was, well, that's because we can get the best wind, we're closest to the grid, easiest access, etc., etc. But those were all things, again, I'll say that benefits the people putting that up. It wasn't why you chose that site because it's going to be a really good thing for the community. You chose that site because it was access to the grid, access to roads, easy land, all those things. Well, that doesn't necessarily benefit anybody in the community. As I say, well, some of us maybe don't want it, some of us maybe just want it in a different area, but you can't look at the factors that are going to put it there based on what benefits these companies. That's to benefit the community that's going to be in it.
The Greenfields and area, and in particular to Peck Meadow Road, that petition will be ready, and with a letter from a lawyer, that's some information I received yesterday, will be sent to the Department of Energy. And also, while I have this opportunity now before you shut me off, I just want to state once again, the residents in the area are not against wind power. They are demanding, as I said earlier, a public statement. They want to be able to be part of any decisions are made. Also, this is for the public. Normally, at the end of PAC or council, they're given an opportunity to speak. If you choose to do that today, you can still do it. However, good or bad, I'm your voice today, and the time for any 5 or 10 minute presentations hopefully will come at a later time if and when the bylaw is revisited. And again, the time frame is very, very important. And if we look at if we get direction, first reading from council on the 17th, after there's public notice, I understand there is that 150 days, which works out to about 5 months. It's important to get that done. If it's allowed to go too much longer, this council that's here today might not be here after October. So I think my residents would like it done in the next 5 or 6 months, and if we can do it under that 5 months. And again, that's the important issues to the residents. Thank you.
We do have a motion on the floor. Councillor Smith?
Thank you.
For option B. We have a motion on the floor for option B. Yeah.
Yes. It is with regards, I agree with Councillor Kellum with regards that we can't wait. And if we have to have an extra, and that I'm usually against going outside and bringing in extra planners. But if this is the case that we have to do it, and under this circumstance, I think it's a must. We just got to do it.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor
In a letter to the provincial government telling them that we are going to review our policy, and our policy may be subject to change, so that they understand that if they're dealing with any projects, they know that we are reviewing our policy. And some of the things that we will be addressing in it is the distance and setbacks, the health risk, and those kinds of issues. So I just wanted to make sure, Lady Chairman, that those things are said. Sometimes we write letters and then afterwards someone says, well, I didn't know that I voted on that. I just make sure that the provincial government knows that we are reviewing our policy, and that out of respect we are telling you that because the policy is subject to change or could be changed.
I need a seconder now. Seconded by Mayor Ward.
Sorry to ramble,
No,
but I
no.
just want to make sure that I get it right the first time.
We have made mistakes in the past, for sure. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. And that's a recommendation to council next Tuesday. Thank you. Now, back to the agenda is no consideration.
Leydecker.
Thank you.
And we moved from Amaranth, a little place north of Orangeville in Ontario, and we had to deal with windmill. It was pretty stressful at that point because we had to deal directly with the windmill company who was already at the door, and they were forcing us to accept them and their. The first question I want to ask you, for who is that electricity that you're gonna, those windmill are going to produce? That question is because when we were in Emirates, we had to take like 100 of windmill to look at them, to live with them, and the electricity was for Toronto, and which was very aggravating. When the windmill company went to Toronto to try to get windmill there as well, the people from Toronto didn't want them. They told them to go back in to the country. We didn't want them. We had to have them, and I mean, it was terrible. The value of the farm went down. I mean, the houses went down. When they gave the okay, they was up in a day. I remember going to work. There was no windmill. I came back. There was 10. Okay, and I mean, it was just unbelievable. And then one of them was squeaky each time it was windy, and nobody came to fix it. At night, we had to have the lights. There was the flashing light right on top. Red, I think, is for the plane, something like this. And we have to endure that through the windows. I mean, you know, you see that at night.
I think Crystal's distribution level. The distribution capacity is created by the homes that actually surround that distribution station. So any windmill that's put up, the power will actually be used by the members of the community within the immediate vicinity. So this power is actually going to be used by the residents in the area. I guess the other thing I would indicate is that as part of the conflict process, regardless of whether there is an approval or not, because the approval is just the first stage, communities have to be consulted. They have to work with you. They will be showing up on your doorstep, but it will be to say, what are your concerns? For larger scale projects that need the environmental assessment, any concerns that come from the community will be written into that process and will have to be addressed by the applicant.